In 753 BCE, a mythical hand traces Rome's beginning, a tale born of gods and brothers' blood. On the Palatine Hill, overlooking the winding Tiber, Romulus carves the sacred furrow of the Pomerium, laying down the spiritual and physical blueprint for an empire yet unseen. This tiny cluster of huts, legend forged from a she-wolf's milk, grips a strategic crossroads, a natural fortress amidst 7 distinct hills where trade paths converge. The very air of 8th century BCE. Latium hums with the clash of nascent tribes, the Latins, the Sabines, and the powerful northern Etruscans. Romulus, the first king, immediately faces empty streets. He throws open Rome's gates as an asylum, a sanctuary for every exile, every runaway slave, every dispossessed man from the surrounding lands, a practical move that swells his fledgling community's ranks. Yet a stark gender imbalance looms, threatening to snuff out the settlement's future. The legendary rape of the Sabine women becomes a brutal solution, a desperate snatching during a festival dedicated to Consus, the god of stored grain. Roman men seize hundreds of Sabine women, igniting a fierce war with the Sabines, their king, Titus Tatius, leading the charge. The conflict culminates in a dramatic tableau. The abducted women themselves, now holding babes and bound by marriage, plead for peace between their fathers and their new Roman husbands. A treaty is struck, fusing Roman and Sabine bloodlines, with Titus Tatius even sharing the throne with Romulus for a time, though an assassin's blade cuts short his reign. Romulus, now sole ruler, hammers out Rome's core institutions. The Senate, a council of 100 paters or fathers whose bloodline will form the patrician class, and the Roman legions, initially a militia of 3,000 foot soldiers and 300 horsemen. After a long and successful reign, Romulus vanishes into a violent storm in 717 BCE, carried aloft to godhood as Quirinus, the Roman people's patron, or so the whispers say. His successor, Numa Pompilius, a Sabine, rules from 715 to 673 BCE, unrolling an era of peace and religious reordering. Numa is no warrior king. His hand shapes Rome's moral and spiritual fabric. He sits with the nymph Egeria, who guides his hand in codifying Roman religious practices and institutions. He raises the Vestal Virgins, priestesses guarding Vesta's sacred hearth fire, the very heart of Rome. He establishes the Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest, and spins out various colleges of priests, including the Salii and the Flamines. He also unfurls the Roman calendar, cleaving the year into 12 lunar months, a vital stride in organizing civic and religious rhythm. Numa's reign drips with piety and wisdom, laying down a society's deep roots, intertwined with its gods and rituals. Tullus Hostilius, the third king, reigns from 673 to 641 BCE, a stark, clanging contrast to his peaceful predecessor. Tullus is a warrior king, his shadow cast by aggressive expansionist policies. His most famous conflict with Alba Longa, Rome's mother city, is decided by a legendary duel of 2 sets of triplets, the Horatii for Rome, the Curiatii for Alba Longa. The Roman Horatius, through cunning and raw resilience, stands victorious, securing Rome's grip over Alba Longa. Tullus then rains brutal punishment upon Alba Longa for its alleged treachery, razing the city to bare ground and forcibly uprooting its people to Rome, particularly settling them on the Caelian Hill. This act significantly inflates Rome's population and land, but it also stamps a precedent for Roman military might and its hunger to absorb conquered peoples. Tullus also erects the Curia Hostilia, the first dedicated Senate house, a stone testament to the growing weight of political institutions. His reign ends mysteriously. Some whisper of a plague from the gods for his religious neglect, others of lightning strike. Ancus Marcius, the fourth king, rules from 641 to 616 BCE, a grandson of Numa Pompilius, and tries to braid his grandfather's religious devotion with Tullus Hostilius's military muscle. He rekindles neglected religious ceremonies and throws the first bridge across the Tiber, the Pons Sublicius, a wooden ribbon facilitating trade and chatter. Ancus also stretches Roman territory to the sea, hammering out the port city of Ostia at the Tiber's mouth, a crucial artery for Rome's future wealth and naval power. He constructs the Mamertine prison, a notorious stone maw, and raises defensive walls around the city, seeing the growing fangs of neighboring tribes. His reign marks a balanced growth, both within and without. The arrival of Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, the fifth king, marks a significant wrench in Roman history. He reigns from 616 to 579 BCE, an Etruscan by blood, originally named Lucumo. He drifts into Rome from Tarquinia with his ambitious wife, Tanaquil, drawn by Rome's wide-open opportunities. Through his bulging purse and sharp political mind, he wins the favor of Ancus Marcius, and upon Ancus's death, deftly pulls the strings of the Roman people and Senate to be crowned king, bypassing Ancus's own sons. Tarquinius Priscus pours significant Etruscan dyes into Roman culture, introducing the toga praetexta, the curule chair, and the fasces, gleaming symbols of magisterial power. He launches ambitious public works projects, draining the forum's swamp to forge a central public square and kicking off the construction of the Circus Maximus, a vast arena for thundering chariots and public spectacles. He also begins the monumental construction of the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on the Capitoline Hill, a massive undertaking that screams Rome's growing power and religious fervor. Tarquinius Priscus also inflates the Senate's numbers, adding 100 new members, further tightening his grip. He wages successful wars against the Sabines and the Latin cities, stretching Rome's control even further. His reign is a period of immense brick-and-mortar growth, transforming Rome from a patchwork of villages into a burgeoning city-state. The sons of Ancus Marcius, feeling cheated of their birthright, ultimately assassinate him. Servius Tullius, the sixth king, rules from 579 to 535 BCE, his origins wrapped in whispers. Legend claims he was born a slave in Tarquinius Priscus's household, but his exceptional abilities and a God-sent flame around his head as a child lead to his adoption by Tarquinius Priscus and Tanaquil. He climbs to the throne after Tarquinius Priscus's assassination, Tanaquil's shrewd political hand guiding him. Servius Tullius is famed for his sweeping social and military reforms, most notably the Servian constitution. This revolutionary system carves Roman society into classes based on wealth, not birth, a radical splinter from the old aristocratic structure. Citizens are sliced into 5 classes, then further diced into centuries or voting uni-ts, which double as military formations. This centuriate assembly ensures the wealthiest citizens wield the most voting power, but it also pulls a broader swath of the populace into Rome's political and military pulse. Every citizen must now contribute to the military based on their means, forging a formidable citizen army. Servius Tullius also pushes the Pomerium outwards, wrapping all 7 hills of Rome within a new defensive wall, the Servian Wall, further cementing the city's borders and shielding its swelling population. He mints the first Roman coins, standardizing currency and greasing the wheels of commerce. His reign is a period of deep social reordering and military hardening, sculpting Rome into a more organized and potent entity. However, his reforms gnaw at the traditional power of the patrician aristocracy, sowing seeds of resentment that will ultimately flower into his downfall. He is brutally murdered, his own daughter, Tullia Minor, and her ambitious husband, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, hungry for the throne, pulling the strings. Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, known as Tarquin the Proud, holds the throne as Rome's 7th and final king from 535 to 509 BCE. His climb to power is stained with parricide and tyranny. He seizes the throne without the Senate's nod or the people's voice, establishing a despotic grip that screams against the earlier kings. Tarquinius Superbus systematically prunes his political rivals, confiscates property, and rules with an iron fist, trampling Roman customs and laws. He walls himself off with a personal bodyguard and governs through fear and chilling intimidation. Despite his tyrannical shadow, he continues many of the grand public works projects his predecessors began, including the completion of the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on the Capitoline Hill, a magnificent edifice that becomes Rome's spiritual heart. He also stretches Roman dominance in Latium through a series of successful military campaigns, twisting Latin cities into alliances and treaties that solidify Rome's chokehold. He squeezes tribute and labor from his subjects, further fattening himself and his family. The Cloaca Maxima, the great sewer system, also finishes under his reign, a stone testament to Roman engineering and urban foresight. However, his autocratic hand and his blatant disregard for traditional Roman institutions, especially the Senate, breed deep resentment among both the patrician elite and the common people. The oppressive air of his reign hangs heavy, a constant tension between the king's absolute power and the growing hunger for liberty among the Romans. The spark for his downfall is the infamous rape of Lucretia, a virtuous Roman noblewoman, by Tarquin's son, Sextus Tarquinius. Lucretia, unable to bear the searing shame, plunges a dagger into herself after recounting the ordeal to her father, Lucretius, her husband, Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus, and their friend, Lucius Junius Brutus. This heinous act ignites the smoldering embers of rebellion. Brutus, a seemingly dull-witted nephew of Tarquin who has played the fool to avoid suspicion, sheds his disguise. He seizes the moment, drawing a dagger from Lucretia's corpse and swearing an oath to expel the Tarquins and never again allow a king to sit upon Rome's throne. Collatinus and Lucretius join him in this solemn vow. Lucretia's tragic story and Brutus's impassioned plea ripple quickly through Rome, galvanizing public opinion against the tyrannical monarch. The Roman people, their backs bent under Tarquin's oppressive rule, rally behind Brutus and his co-conspirators. The army, stationed at Ardea and under Tarquin's command, hears of the uprising. Brutus, moving with remarkable speed and strategic cunning, secures the soldiers' loyalty. He addresses the assembled citizens in the forum, painting a vivid picture of Tarquin's injustices and calling for the entire royal family's expulsion. The Senate, now emboldened by the popular tide, votes to depose Tarquin and banish him and his family from Rome forever. Tarquinius Superbus, returning to Rome, finds the city gates slammed shut against him. His attempts to reclaim the throne are futile. The Roman people, their resolve a solid wall, reject his authority. The expulsion of Lucius Tarquinius Superbus and the establishment of the Roman Republic in 509 BCE. The year is 509 BCE, and a new dawn breaks over Rome, a time defined by a fierce rejection of kings and the birth of the Republic. Two consuls, their terms annual, now grasp supreme executive power, their authority replacing the king's crown. Lucius Junius Brutus and Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus, the revolution's heroes, are the first to wield this prestigious office. Yet the shift is fraught with peril. Tarquinius Superbus, exiled and bitter, immediately stretches his hand from afar, weaving conspiracies to reclaim his throne. He summons aid from neighboring Etruscan cities, particularly Veii and Tarquinia, to launch military thrusts against the nascent republic. The most immediate threat, however, sprouts from within. A conspiracy involving several prominent young Roman nobles, including Brutus's own sons, Titus and Tiberius, is unearthed. These young men, accustomed to monarchy's gilded privileges, chafe under the new republican order. Brutus, a man carved from unwavering commitment to the republic, presides over the trial and execution of his own sons, a brutal act that solidifies the republic's steel and stamps the principle: no one stands above the law. The republic's first major military clash is the Battle of Silva Arcia in 509 BCE, where Roman forces, Brutus and Valerius at their head, crash against the Etruscan army of Tarquinia and Veii. Brutus, leading the thundering cavalry, locks in single combat with Runs Tarquinius, Tarquin's son. Both men crumple, mortally wounded, a stark testament to the ferocity of these early republican struggles. The battle is a bloody stalemate, yet the Romans claim victory, largely due to the timely whisper of the god Silvanus, according to legend, his voice declaring the Romans triumphant. This early win, though costly, shores up the republic's fragile foundation. Following Brutus's death, Publius Valerius Publicola, a strong voice for the people, steps into a leading role, passing laws that trim the consul's power and grant citizens the right to appeal against magisterial decisions. This period sees the slow, careful construction of the Roman constitution, a complex weave of checks and balances designed to prevent another tyrant's rise. The early republic is a relentless grind, both within its walls and beyond. The patricians, the aristocratic elite, monopolize political life, clutching most magistracies and steering the Senate. The plebeians, the common citizens, find themselves locked out of power, crushed by debt, and subjected to the arbitrary whims of patrician magistrates. This simmering tension explodes into the conflict of the orders, a protracted tug-of-war for political and social equality that shapes the republic's very bones for centuries. In 494 BCA, the plebeians, their patience worn thin, initiate the first secession of the plebs. They march en masse to the Sacred Mount, refusing to serve in the army or participate in civic life until their grievances are heard. This dramatic act forces the patricians to the negotiating table. The result: the birth of the tribune of the plebs, elected officials cloaked in sacrosanctity, their persons inviolable, and wielding the power to veto actions of magistrates and the Senate that harm the plebeians. This is a monumental victory for the plebeians, marking the first tremor of their slow but steady climb to political parity. The next significant tremor in the conflict of the orders is the clamor for written laws. Until 451 BCE, Roman law is an unwritten secret, interpreted solely by patrician priests and magistrates, leading to arbitrary judgments and injustice. The plebeians demand a clear, publicly displayed code of law. This leads to the appointment of a commission of 10 men, the decemviri, to chisel Roman law into stone. In 451 BCE, the first 10 tables of law are unveiled, followed by 2 more in 450 BCE, forming the famous Laws of the 12 Tables. These laws, inscribed on bronze tablets and gleaming in the Forum, establish the principle of legal equality for all Roman citizens, regardless of their social rung. They cover civil procedure, family law, property rights, and criminal offenses, laying the very foundation for Roman jurisprudence. Though still favoring the patricians in some ways, the 12 Tables are a crucial step towards a more equitable legal system. Meanwhile, Rome constantly braces for external blows. The Latin League, a confederation of Latin cities, initially Rome's ally, grows increasingly wary of Rome's expanding shadow. The Battle of Lake Regillus, around 496 BCE, is a legendary clash between Rome and the Latin League. Roman forces, led by the dictator Aulus Postumius Albus, emerge victorious, thanks in part to the divine hand of Castor and Pollux, according to tradition. This victory secures Roman hegemony over Latium and stamps Rome as the region's dominant power. The Treaty of Cassion, signed in 493 BCE, formalizes this dominance, forging a defensive alliance between Rome and the Latin League, with Rome standing as the senior partner. Throughout the 5th and 4th centuries BCA, Rome plunges into a series of wars with its neighbors, including the Equi, Volsci, and Sabines. These conflicts are often brutal and drawn out, but they sharpen Rome's military machine and stretch its territory. The figure of Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus emerges as a gleaming symbol of Roman virtue during this period. In 458 BCE, Cincinnatus, a retired consul and farmer, is plucked from his plow to serve as dictator when a Roman army finds itself snared by the Equi. He accepts the immense power, crushes the enemy in a single day, and then, remarkably, lays down his dictatorship after only 16 days, returning to his fields. His selfless devotion to the Republic and his rejection of absolute power become a powerful, shining ideal for future generations of Romans. The most significant external blow of the early Republic crashes down from the Gauls. In 390 BCE, a Gallic tribe, Brennus at its head, floods into Italy and decisively shatters a Roman army at the Battle of the Allia River. The Gauls then swarm Rome, burning much of the city and laying siege to the Capitoline Hill. The Romans are forced to pour out a heavy ransom in gold to persuade the Gauls to withdraw. This humiliating defeat is a profound shock to Rome, forcing it to re-examine its military strategies and defensive muscles. The sack of Rome by the Gauls is a traumatic wound, but it also galvanizes the Romans, forging a greater sense of unity and hardened determination. Following the Gallic sack, Rome embarks on a period of intense rebuilding and military retooling. The Servian walls, scarred during the invasion, are repaired and thickened. The Roman army undergoes significant shifts, adopting more flexible tactics and sharpening its equipment. The Manipular Legion, a more adaptable and effective fighting unit, begins to take shape. Internally, the conflict of the orders continues to grind forward. In 367 BCE, the Licinian Section Laws are passed, a landmark achievement for the plebeians. These laws stipulate that one of the two consuls must be a plebeian, fling open other magistracies to plebeians, and address debt relief and land distribution. This marks a major stride towards full political equality, though the patricians continue to cast a long shadow through their wealth and influence. By 287 BCE, the Lex Hortensia grants plebiscites, resolutions passed by the plebeian assembly, the full weight of law without requiring senatorial approval, effectively ending the conflict of the orders and forging a more representative political system. With internal stability largely secured, Rome turns its gaze to cementing its grip over the Italian peninsula. The Samnite Wars, a series of 3 protracted and brutal conflicts against the formidable Samnites, stretch from 343 to 290 BCE. These wars are a severe testing ground for Roman military might and resilience. The Samnites, fierce mountain warriors, deal several crushing blows to the Romans, most notably at the Caudine Forks in 321 BCE, where an entire Roman army is forced to surrender and pass under the yoke, a symbol of searing humiliation. However, Rome's inexhaustible manpower, its superior organization, and its unwavering determination ultimately prevail. Through these wars, Rome weaves its road network, plants military colonies, and refines its strategies, ultimately subjugating the Samnites and stamping its undisputed dominance over central and southern Italy. The Roman policy of granting various degrees of citizenship and alliance to conquered peoples proves crucial, weaving them into the Roman system and providing a continuous wellspring of manpower for its legions. By the early 3rd century BCE, Rome stands as the undisputed master of Italy, but its expansion inevitably brings it into a head-on collision with the powerful Greek city-states of Magna Graecia in southern Italy. Tarentum, a wealthy Greek city, feels Rome's expanding shadow and calls upon Pyrrhus, king of Epirus, a brilliant general and kin to Alexander the Great, for aid. Pyrrhus lands in Italy in 280 BCE with a large army, including war elephants, a terrifying spectacle for the Romans. He deals several defeats to the Romans, most famously at the Battle of Heraclea in 280 BCE and the Battle of Esculum in 279 BCE. However, these victories come at a tremendous bleeding cost, giving birth to the term Pyrrhic victory. Pyrrhus famously sighs, "Another such victory, and we are undone." Despite his military genius, Pyrrhus cannot break Roman resolve or drain its seemingly endless wellsprings of manpower. After a costly and ultimately fruitless campaign in Sicily, he retreats to Greece in 275 BCE, suffering a final defeat at the Battle of Beneventum. With Pyrrhus's departure, Rome completes its conquest of Magna Graecia, pulling the entire Italian peninsula under its control. Rome now stands as a major Mediterranean power, but its rise inevitably clashes with another colossal force, Carthage. Carthage, a wealthy Phoenician city-state nestled in modern-day Tunisia, controls vast trading networks and commands a formidable navy. The First Punic War, from 264 to 241 BCE, erupts over control of Sicily. Rome, primarily a land power, is forced to forge a navy from raw timber. Through innovation, such as the corvus, a boarding bridge that slams down, the Romans transform naval warfare and snatch several crucial victories. After more than 2 decades of grueling conflict, Rome emerges victorious, seizing Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica, and forcing Carthage to pay a massive indemnity. This war stamps Rome as a formidable naval power and a major player in the Mediterranean. The peace is a thin membrane. Carthage, under the leadership of Hamilcar Barca and later his son Hannibal, nurses a deep, burning hunger for revenge. Hannibal, one of history's greatest military commanders, launches a daring invasion of Italy in 218 BCE, dragging his army and elephants over the Alps, igniting the Second Punic War, 218–01 BCE. Hannibal inflicts a series of devastating blows on the Romans, including the battles of Trebia, 218 BCE, Lake Trasimene, 217 BCE, and most famously, Cannae, 216 BCE, where an estimated 50,000 to 70,000 Roman soldiers are cut down or captured in a single day, one of the worst military disasters in Roman history. Despite these catastrophic losses, Rome refuses to bend. Under the Fabian strategy, named after Quintus Fabius Maximus Verrucassus, Rome avoids direct, pitched battles with Hannibal, instead gnawing at his supply lines and slowly grinding down his forces. Meanwhile, Roman generals like Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus rise into the light. Scipio, a brilliant strategist, successfully campaigns in Hispania, severing Hannibal's base of support. In 204 BCE, Scipio carries the war to Africa, forcing Hannibal to recall his forces from Italy. The decisive Battle of Zama unfolds in 202 BCE, where Scipio's Roman legions, employing innovative tactics, decisively shatter Hannibal's army. Carthage is forced to swallow harsh peace terms, relinquishing all its overseas territories, tearing down its navy, and pouring out another enormous indemnity. The Second Punic War cements Rome's position as the dominant power in the Western Mediterranean and marks a turning point in its imperial expansion. Following the Punic Wars, Rome turns its gaze eastward, engaging with the Hellenistic kingdoms that blossomed after Alexander the Great's death. The Macedonian Wars, 214–148 BCE, see Rome clash with Philip V, and then Perseus of Macedon. The Battle of Cynocephaly in 197 BCE and the Battle of Pydna in 168 BCE are decisive Roman victories, leading to Macedon's subjugation and the establishment of Roman hegemony over Greece. The Third Punic War, 149–146 BCE, is a brief but brutal conflict. Driven by the fear of a resurgent Carthage and the famous, thundering exhortation, Carthago delenda est. Carthage must be destroyed. By Cato the Elder, Rome besieges and utterly obliterates Carthage in 146 BCE, plowing salt into its fields and ensuring it can never rise again. In the same year, Corinth is also razed, marking the death of Greek independence. By the mid-2nd century BCE, Rome is the undisputed master of the Mediterranean world. This rapid expansion, however, pours profound social and economic shifts into the Republic, beginning to crack its foundations. Vast tracts of conquered land, often swallowed by wealthy senators and equites, knights, are tilled by slaves, pushing out small farmers who form the Roman army's very backbone. These displaced farmers flood into Rome, swelling the ranks of the urban poor, the asterisk proletariat asterisk, who cling to grain, dole, and political patronage. The traditional Roman values of civic virtue and austerity begin to fray, replaced by growing luxury and corruption among the elite. The gush of wealth from conquest creates immense chasms, sparking increasing social unrest. The Gracchi brothers, Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, try to bridge these widening inequalities through radical land reform. Tiberius Gracchus, elected tribune of the plebs in 133 BCE, unfurls legislation to redistribute public land, ager publicus, to landless citizens, aiming to breathe life back into the small farmer class and restore the military sinews. His actions, sidestepping the Senate and speaking directly to the popular assembly, are unprecedented and ignite fierce opposition from the conservative senatorial elite, the Optimates asterisk. In a violent confrontation, Tiberius and hundreds of his supporters are butchered by a mob led by senators, a shocking rupture of the tribune's sacrosanctity. 10 years later, his brother Gaius Gracchus, also elected tribune, pushes for even more ambitious reforms, including subsidized grain for the urban poor, judicial reforms, and the planting of colonies for landless citizens. He too meets a violent end in 121 BCE, cut down in a senatorial-instigated riot. The Gracchi episodes stamp a dangerous precedent. Political disputes are now settled with blood, and the Republic's traditional institutions are increasingly unable to mend fundamental social fractures. The late Republic is defined by a parade of powerful generals who leverage their military triumphs to seize immense political clout, blurring the lines between military authority and civilian governance. Gaius Marius, a new man, novus homo from outside the traditional aristocracy, flares into prominence. Elected consul an unprecedented 7 times, Marius reshapes the Roman army, throwing open its ranks to landless citizens and forging a professional volunteer army fiercely loyal to its commander, not the Republic. This Marian reform, while sharpening Rome's military edge, also carves out a dangerous precedent. Generals now command private armies, a potent weapon for political ambition. Marius's rivalry with Lucius Cornelius Sulla, a patrician general, ignites the first full-scale Roman civil war. Sulla, after successfully campaigning in the east, marches his legions on Rome in 88 BCE, a shocking act of defiance against the Republic. He seizes power, institutes brutal proscriptions, lists of enemies to be executed, and attempts to nail down senatorial authority before voluntarily stepping down in 79 BCE. His actions lay bare the fragility of republican institutions when faced with military might. The decades that follow are scarred by further civil unrest and the ascent of other powerful individuals. Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, or Pompey the Great, emerges as a formidable military leader, achieving spectacular victories against pirates in the Mediterranean and Mithridates VI of Pontus in the east. Marcus Licinius Crassus, Rome's wealthiest man, earns military renown by crushing the slave revolt led by Spartacus, 73-71 BCE. And then there is Gaius Julius Caesar, a brilliant orator, politician, and general whose burning ambition will ultimately melt and recast the Roman world. In 60 BCE, Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus forged the first triumvirate, an unofficial political pact designed to bypass the Senate and weld together their power. Caesar, through this alliance, secures the consulship in 59 BCE, and then is handed a 5-year proconsular command in Gaul. His Gallic Wars, 58-50 BCE, are a masterclass in military strategy and calculated propaganda. Over 8 years, Caesar conquers the entirety of Gaul, stretching Roman territory to the Atlantic and the Rhine, and amassing immense personal wealth and glory. His commentaries, *De Bello Gallico, brilliantly etch his campaigns into history, cementing his image as an invincible commander. The death of Crassus in 53 BCE at the Battle of Carrhae, fighting the Parthians, shatters the triumvirate. The rivalry between Caesar and Pompey, fueled by their immense personal ambitions and the backing of their respective factions in Rome, intensifies. Pompey, fearing Caesar's growing power and popularity, aligns himself with the Optimates in the Senate, who see Caesar as a dangerous threat to the Republic. The Senate, manipulated by Pompey, orders Caesar to disband his legions and return to Rome as a private citizen. On January 10, 49 BCE, Caesar makes his fateful decision. Leading his 13th legion, he crosses the Rubicon River, the thin line between his province and Italy, uttering the immortal words, "Alia iacta est," the die is cast. This act is an open declaration of civil war against the Republic and Pompey. Caesar's lightning-fast advance catches Pompey and the Senate by surprise. Pompey, unable to muster enough forces to defend Rome, empties the city and retreats to Greece. Caesar, after securing Italy, pursues Pompey across the Adriatic. The decisive Battle of Pharsalus in 48 BCE sees Caesar's veteran legions decisively shatter Pompey's larger, but less experienced, army. Pompey flees to Egypt, where he is assassinated by agents of Ptolemy XIII, hoping to win Caesar's favor. Caesar spends the next few years cementing his power, campaigning in Egypt, Africa, and Hispania against the lingering Pompeian forces. His affair with Cleopatra VII of Egypt blossoms into the birth of their son, Caesarion. Upon his return to Rome, Caesar is showered with honors, including the dictatorship for life in 44 BCE. He launches an ambitious program of reforms. He reshapes the Roman calendar, plants new colonies, grants citizenship to many provincials, and undertakes massive public works projects. He is a benevolent dictator, but his accumulation of absolute power, his disregard for traditional republican institutions, and his perceived hunger to become king alarm many senators, particularly those who cling to the republic's ideals. A conspiracy forms, involving around 60 senators, led by Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus, both of whom Caesar had pardoned after they supported Pompey. They fear that Caesar's unchecked power will lead to the permanent demise of the Republic and the re-establishment of monarchy. The Ides of March, 44 BCE, dawns. As Caesar steps into the Senate House, he is enveloped by the conspirators and stabbed 23 times. His dying words, famously, are "Et tu, Brute," "You too, Brutus." The assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BCE, and the subsequent power struggles leading to the rise of Octavian. The assassination of Julius Caesar plunges Rome into fresh chaos, a power vacuum ripe for the taking. The conspirators, Brutus and Cassius, mistakenly believe the Republic will simply reassert itself, but the populace, especially Caesar's battle-hardened legions, roar with outrage. Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal lieutenant and co-consul, deftly seizes the moment, delivering a fiery eulogy that turns public opinion against the assassins, forcing them to flee Rome. However, Antony soon faces a formidable new rival, Octavian, Caesar's 18-year-old adopted son and heir, who strides into Rome determined to claim his inheritance and avenge his adoptive father. Octavian, initially dismissed by Antony, proves to be a shrewd and ruthless politician. He quickly gathers the support of Caesar's veterans and a significant portion of the Roman populace. The Senate, Cicero at its head, initially tries to use Octavian to balance Antony, but Octavian's ambition soon gleams clear. In 43 BCE, Octavian, Antony, and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, another of Caesar's generals, forged the Second Triumvirate, a legally sanctioned alliance wielding absolute power to restore order to the Republic. Unlike the First Triumvirate, this alliance is formally etched into law and grants its members dictatorial authority for 5 years. Their first act is a brutal proscription, a systematic purge of their political enemies, leaving hundreds of senators and equites dead, including Cicero, who had thundered vehemently against Antony. The triumvirs then turn their gaze to Caesar's assassins. In 42 BCE, at the Battle of Philippi and Macedon, the combined forces of Octavian and Antony decisively shatter the armies of Brutus and Cassius. Both conspirators fall upon their own swords, effectively snuffing out the last embers of Republican resistance. With their enemies swept away, the triumvirs carve the Roman world among themselves. Antony takes the wealthy east, Lepidus is handed Africa, and Octavian controls the west, including Rome and Italy. This division, however, is an unstable fault line, and the rivalry between Octavian and Antony, fueled by ambition and personal animosity, soon escalates. Lepidus is quickly pushed aside, accused of rebellion and stripped of his power in 36 BCE, leaving Octavian and Antony as the sole contenders for supreme power. Antony, based in the east, becomes increasingly entwined with Cleopatra VII of Egypt, forging a political and personal bond. He carves out Roman territories for Cleopatra and their children, a move perceived in Rome as a betrayal of Roman interests and a dangerous submission to an Eastern queen. Octavian skillfully exploits these perceptions, launching a propaganda blitz that paints Antony as a weak, decadent, and orientalized figure, under Cleopatra's spell, threatening the traditional values of Rome. The final confrontation erupts in 31 BCE. Octavian declares war not on Antony directly, but on Cleopatra, framing the conflict as Rome's defense against a foreign threat. The decisive naval battle of Actium, fought off the western coast of Greece, sees Octavian's fleet, commanded by his brilliant general Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, decisively shatter the combined forces of Antony and Cleopatra. Antony and Cleopatra flee to Egypt, pursued by Octavian. In 30 BCE, Octavian invades Egypt, and both Antony and Cleopatra take their own lives, leaving Octavian as the undisputed master of the Roman world. Egypt is annexed as a Roman province, providing Rome with its crucial grain supply and immense wealth. Octavian, now aged 33, stands at the pinnacle of power, having swept away all his rivals. He faces the monumental task of stitching stability back into a republic, shattered by decades of civil war. However, he is acutely aware that openly crowning himself king would provoke a swift and violent backlash from a Senate and populace still deeply committed to Republican ideals, even if those ideals are now largely theoretical. Instead, Octavian embarks on a masterful political transformation, carefully sculpting an image of himself as the Republic's restorer, while subtly consolidating absolute power. In 27 BCE, in a carefully staged act, Octavian announces his intention to lay down his extraordinary powers and return the Republic to the Senate and the Roman people. The Senate, in turn, begs him to retain his authority, bestowing upon him the title of Augustus, the revered one, a religious and honorific title that lifts him above ordinary mortals. This moment marks the official birth of the Roman Empire, though Augustus himself always maintained the fiction of a restored republic, calling himself Princeps Asterisk, first citizen, rather than emperor. He clutches a series of key offices, including consul, proconsul, and tribune, allowing him to command the military, the provinces, and legislation, all while maintaining the veneer of constitutional legality. Augustus sparks a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity known as the Asterisk Pax Romana Asterisk, the Roman peace, which stretches for over 2 centuries. He reorganizes the empire's administration, forging a professional civil service, stabilizing the provinces, and establishing a standing army fiercely loyal to him. He undertakes massive public works projects in Rome, raising temples, theaters, and aqueducts, famously boasting that he found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble. He champions traditional Roman values, encourages family life, and sponsors a golden age of Latin literature, with poets like Virgil, Horace, and Ovid flourishing under his patronage. Augustus dies in 14 CE, having ruled for over 40 years, leaving behind a stable, centralized empire and a clear line of succession. The Julio-Claudian dynasty, comprising Augustus and his successors Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero, grips Rome for the next 54 years. Tiberius, Augustus's stepson, rules from 14 to 37 CE, proving an efficient but reclusive administrator. Caligula, who rules from 37 to 41 CE, is remembered for his erratic and tyrannical whims, culminating in his assassination by the Praetorian Guard. Claudius, Caligula's uncle, rules from 41 to 54 CE, proving a surprisingly capable emperor, overseeing the conquest of Britain and significant administrative reforms. Nero, the last of the Julio-Claudians, reigns from 54 to 68 CE. His early rule, guided by Seneca the Younger and Burrus, shows promise, but soon descends into infamy. He is remembered for his artistic pursuits, his persecution of Christians, and the Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE, for which he was widely blamed, though historical consensus is divided. Nero's increasingly despotic rule and paranoia led to a series of conspiracies and revolts, ultimately forcing him to commit suicide in 68 CE, uttering "Qualis artifex perio," "What an artist dies in me." His death plunges Rome into the year of the 4 emperors, 69 CE, a brief but bloody civil war that underscores the fragility of the imperial succession. The year of the 4 emperors, a brutal scramble for power in 69 CE, finally concludes with the ascension of Vespasian, a pragmatic general who rises from humble origins. His reign, 69-79 CE, ushers in the Flavian dynasty and brings much-needed stability. Vespasian, famed for his common sense and fiscal prudence, rebuilds Rome after the civil wars, initiating monumental projects like the Colosseum. He restores discipline to the army and streamlines provincial administration, laying the groundwork for a prosperous future. His son, Titus, 79-81 CE, a popular and effective ruler, is tragically cut short by illness, but not before overseeing the completion of the Colosseum and responding with compassion to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, which buried Pompeii and Herculaneum. Domitian, Titus's younger brother, 80-196 CE, rules with increasing authoritarianism, becoming a target for senatorial resentment. His reign, though administratively efficient and militarily successful, ends in assassination, leading to the end of the Flavian line. The assassination of Domitian ushers in an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity, the age of the 5 good emperors, 96-180 CE. Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. These emperors are largely chosen on merit, through adoption rather than direct hereditary succession, a system that yields highly capable rulers. Trajan, 98–117 CE, oversees the Roman Empire's greatest territorial expansion, conquering Dacia, modern-day Romania, and parts of Parthia, pushing the empire to its absolute geographical zenith. His reign is a testament to Roman military might and engineering prowess, evident in Trajan's column, which meticulously chronicles his Dacian campaigns. Hadrian, 117–138 CE, a cultured and travel-loving emperor, consolidates the empire's borders, famously building Hadrian's Wall in Britain, a defensive barrier against northern tribes. He focuses on internal administration, law, and culture, rather than expansion. Antoninus Pius, 130–8161 CE, presides over a period of remarkable tranquility and economic prosperity. The last of the good emperors is Marcus Aurelius, 161–180 CE, the philosopher emperor, whose Stoic meditations offer a rare glimpse into the mind of a Roman ruler grappling with duty and hardship. His reign, though marked by wisdom and justice, also signals the end of the asterisk Pax Romana asterisk. The empire faces renewed external pressures, including Germanic incursions along the Danube and a devastating plague, the Antonine Plague, that sweeps through the empire, decimating its population and weakening its military. Marcus Aurelius makes the fateful decision to name his biological son, Commodus, as his successor, breaking the tradition of adoptive succession. Commodus's reign, 181–92 CE, marks a sharp descent into tyranny and extravagance. He abandons his father's policies, revels in gladiator games, and increasingly isolates himself from the Senate. His erratic behavior and paranoia culminate in his assassination, plunging Rome into another civil war, the Year of the Five Emperors, 193 CE. Septimius Severus, a Punicroman general, emerges victorious, establishing the Severan dynasty, 193–35 CE. Severus, 193–11 CE, is a military emperor, famously advising his sons, enrich the soldiers and scorn all other men. He strengthens the army, increases soldiers' pay, and focuses on defending the empire's borders. However, his militaristic policies strain the imperial treasury and set a precedent for military influence in politics. The Severan dynasty eventually collapses, leading to the crisis of the 3rd century, 235–80 for CE, a period of intense instability that nearly shatters the Roman Empire. Over 50 emperors are proclaimed during this time, most dying violent deaths. The empire is beset by relentless external invasions from Germanic tribes, Goths, Alemanni, Franks, and the Sassanid Persians in the east. Internally, civil wars rage, the economy collapses under hyperinflation, trade routes are disrupted, and cities are depopulated. The empire fragments into secessionist states, such as the Gallic Empire in the west and the Pomeranian Empire in the east. This crisis exposes deep structural flaws in the empire, particularly its overstretched borders, its reliance on a professional but often disloyal army, and its increasingly centralized and authoritarian political system. The crisis of the 3rd century is finally brought to an end by a series of barracks emperors, strong military leaders who stabilize the empire through sheer force of will. Aurelian, 272–75 CE, known as the Restorer of the World, reconquers the secessionist empires and rebuilds Rome's defensive walls, a stark acknowledgement of the empire's vulnerability. Diocletian, 284–5 CE, then embarks on a radical program of reforms to save the empire. He divides the empire into east and west, establishing the Tetrarchy, a system of 4 co-emperors, 2 Augusti and 2 Caesars, to ensure more efficient governance and succession. He introduces sweeping administrative, military, and economic reforms, including price controls and increased taxation, to stabilize the state. While successful in the short term, his reforms create a more rigid, bureaucratic, and authoritarian state, laying the groundwork for the two distinct halves of the empire. Diocletian's tetrarchy ultimately fails, leading to another round of civil wars. Constantine the Great, 306–337 CE, emerges victorious, reuniting the empire under his sole rule. His reign marks a pivotal turning point in Roman and world history. In 313 CE, he issues the Edict of Milan, granting religious toleration throughout the empire, effectively ending the persecution of Christians. Constantine himself converts to Christianity, transforming it from a persecuted sect into the dominant religion of the empire. In 330 CE, he founds a new imperial capital, Constantinople, on the site of the ancient Greek city of Byzantium. This strategically located city, often called New Rome, becomes the political and cultural heart of the Eastern Roman Empire, shifting power away from the old capital. After Constantine, the empire once again faces a succession of strong and weak emperors, and the division between East and West becomes increasingly pronounced. Theodosius I, 379–395 CE, is the last emperor to rule over a unified Roman Empire. He makes Nicene Christianity the official state religion, further cementing its dominance. Upon his death, the empire is formally and permanently divided into the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire, each with its own emperor. The Western Roman Empire, with its capital eventually moving from Rome to Ravenna, faces an onslaught of challenges it can no longer withstand. Its economy is in decline, its tax base shrinking, and its military increasingly relies on Germanic mercenaries who often lack loyalty. Political instability is rampant, and corruption gnaws at the administrative structure. The vast borders become porous, and waves of Germanic tribes, pushed by the Huns from the east, pour into Roman territory. In 410 CE, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sack the city of Rome, a profound psychological shock to the Roman world, signifying the vulnerability of the Eternal City. The Vandals later sack Rome again in 455 CE. Roman provinces, one by one, break away or are conquered by barbarian kingdoms. Britain is abandoned in 410 CE, Hispania falls to the Visigoths, and North Africa, the empire's grain basket, is lost to the Vandals. The imperial court, often weak and ineffective, struggles to maintain control as the empire's territory shrinks to little more than Italy. The traditional date for the fall of the Western Roman Empire is 476 CE. On this day, the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposes the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, a symbolic end to an era. Odoacer sends the imperial regalia to Constantinople, acknowledging the Eastern emperor as the sole legitimate ruler. While the Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, continues to thrive for another 1,000 years, the Western Roman Empire ceases to exist as a unified political entity. The fall of Rome was not a single event, but a complex process. A slow, agonizing decline brought about by a confluence of factors. Continuous barbarian invasions, economic collapse, political instability, overexpansion, internal corruption, the rise of Christianity changing societal values, and the sheer administrative burden of maintaining such a vast territory. The legacy of Rome, however, did not die with its Western Empire. Its laws, language, architecture, engineering, and political ideas profoundly shaped Western civilization, and its influence can still be felt in every corner of the modern world. The Roman Empire may have fallen, but its spirit